Smell those eggs and bacon. It's time for Breakfast Talk, a podcast covering a range of entrepreneurial and independent comics creation topics first thing in the morning. Of course, please like and share if you're enjoying our special seasoning. And be sure to subscribe to join us every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Let's talk.
Hey, it's the
Breakfast talk. Breakfast talk.
In the morning.
It's time to talk. It's time to talk about breakfast.
This is Casey. That is not Casey Kasem. I couldn't do it. I was like,
He's kind of distinct. That's hard to.
Yeah,
It's Dingo and the baby.
Dingo and the baby.
Dingo and the baby.
What?
Yeah.
It is 2021. If we haven't died,
We're there. We're in it. We're balls deep
This
in
year-
it.
And I
This
can't believe that thing happened.
Yeah.
That one thing in December. Holy macaroni!
It was crazy.
I am both shocked and confused.
Yeah, and Hector killed a guy with a trident.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah.
man on fire?
I had a grenade. You saw that?
Where'd you get a grenade?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you really love the lamp, or are you just saying that?
I love lamp. I love lamp.
And now we've got a copyright strike.
Hey. Yeah, there you go.
So,
Yeah. All right.
The topic of this episode is the future of crowdfunding indie comics. Thank
The
you,
future.
Ellis Novak, for giving us the
Cyberpunk
topic.
2077 of crowdfunding.
Yeah,
You talk about the game?
We all talk like this in the future.
we all talk like this in the future, all brooding and stuff.
My eyes are really squinting right now.
Dylan's wearing a shirt.
He is wearing a shirt.
He's he is wearing a shirt, but he has a beanie on that you can find in our indie store. The description, the link is in the description. I can't talk. I can't talk.
The future of crowdfunding indie comics. That's first of all, it's a great topic, but it's also very vague.
Yes, so we're gonna make it less vague by explaining.
That is a revolutionary idea, Greg. How has nobody ever thought of this?
I don't know. That's why we have a podcast.
Yeah, I was actually, it is something interesting. One of the things Greg and I have been talking about is the fact that the Kickstarter is great, but one of the reasons why, like, Toys R Us, Borders, what is it, Radio Shack, a lot of those businesses that like went out of business, that one of the primary causes of that was that they didn't handle everything in their business. So Borders, for example, decided not to sell their books online. They're like, Amazon's got online. We're not going to deal with that. I think it's a fad anyways. And the issue with that is that basically once you start handing stuff off like that, you're now beholden to someone, right? And anytime you're beholden to someone, it might speed things up. And like some people who want quick money are willing to do that. But in the long run, it's going to hinder you. And so, for example, there's an old client I had where they worked with this company who would run a campaign for them. But the campaign was run through their platform and not through my client's platform. And so because of that, all the emails that were collected that didn't follow through, my client never kept. It was kept by the other campaign runners. And so they were building this huge email list with all these people while they're not actually helping the client out as much as they should be. Where later I then replicated that same campaign, but they got all the website traffic. It wasn't going to a landing page. So now they've got, SEO and authority being built. Now they've collected their emails. Now they have the potential phone numbers too, because now they can ask other questions that other campaign might not have. And because of that, they now have full ownership of their audience. And one thing that I believe any business needs to worry about is owning their audience. And there's a entrepreneur named Russell Brunson who talks about the 3 types of audiences. There's audiences that you earn. So that would be like, say you hopped on one of our podcasts and one of our listeners found out about you through our podcast. You didn't pay for it. You might have spent your time, but you didn't pay for it. So you've earned that podcast or earned that audience. You've earned that fan. Then there is the audience that you buy, which is like ads. So maybe you get them for a moment through an ad. But then there's the audience you own, which is when you've collected their email and now you can reach out whenever you want because you now have access to that audience. And that's one of the big reasons why it's very powerful if you run people through your own website, through a web, as opposed to a website like Kickstarter. You can actually track that through the Facebook Pixel, Google Tag Manager, things like that. And with that, you've now gotten this much closer to owning the audience that Kickstarter might not be able to share with you, or Indiegogo might not be able to share with you. And that's something that Greg and I have talked a lot about, that crowdfunding isn't necessarily a bad idea to make your comics. But I'd like to see it evolve into the type of platform where it's almost like pre-orders pay for your comic to be made, as opposed to a crowdfunding campaign where you plan on making your comic anyways, and most artists know that. So if you don't reach your goal, you're still likely to make your comic. You're just not going to be able to get that extra funding for printing or whatever it is that you want to do with that money. And so that's another big reason why, like, Indiegogo, for example, it doesn't have as big of a reach, but you get to keep any money you earn. Where Kickstarter has a much greater reach, but if you fail, you don't get any of it. So it's definitely an interesting path that I see a lot of artists going on, but I would like to see it where eventually people own their own crowdfunding campaigns, just so that when they pull people in, they have all of the information. It's all theirs.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I interpreted the question too, was more or less like, how do you move forward from crowdfunding through another platform into, I guess, making it solely about your projects continually, not just like having to run every single project through Kickstarter. Essentially, like, once you've figured out the basics of running a campaign, you could just have that based in your website. Like, you can just guide people to your website. You don't necessarily need Kickstarter anymore, because you kind of already understand what a campaign looks like and feels like, and how it should run. The rules. They've set up a rule set for you. All you have to do is kind of copy those rule sets and then just make your website kind of function that way. And that's definitely something that Chris and I were talking about, because I had read a few articles that was kind of along those lines. Is like, you essentially become kind of just a leg for another website, as opposed to like all of the attention being focused on your projects. It's like you're just one of many within that platform. And if you can draw in both the attention to your website, along with the fundraising aspect, now you're doing like 2 things at once, and then you're gathering emails for yourself. You know what I mean? Like what you were just saying, you're gathering all those things in one place, as opposed to just being a leg of somebody else's marketing strategy and campaign and stuff like that, and email lists and all those kinds of things. So I think that's exactly how I feel about it as well. And I think the next step in crowdfunding also is, or the evolution of crowdfunding, the future of crowdfunding for indies, to me is I guess more a system that's more like Patreon, as opposed to something that's like a campaign that's set with these goals and like all or nothing type thing. I think Indiegogo works for some people, and I think it's really catered to, or it really works better for specific kinds of projects, like this is long term, but you have enough content already that you can fulfill, I guess, or keep people's interest going throughout that year time span, whatever that longer time frame. But I guess something that's more like Patreon, that would extend to an individual, as opposed to going through a site like Patreon, like where you can build it on your own website, and it's a crowdfunding campaign that's long term, that's more or less like a month-to-month subscription basis. I think that's probably where indies should lean into, because at the end of the day, any website that you go to that's crowdfunding, they're going to take a percentage of it, and you're already going to have to pay a percentage of it through taxes. You want to eliminate as many of those those drains on you as you possibly can. So I would say that that's probably the future of indie crowdfunding, in my opinion.
We actually, on our website, we actually started doing that in November, December. Uh, while we were away for the month of December, it still hopefully has been going up in subscribers. We made milestone type things. So, like what most people do, like me, when we have a Kickstarter, we do like backer milestones, and like each milestone, we give something else away. So it's another free thing that people can get.
Which would be like the number of backers as opposed to the amount of money you've collected. So you could have 30 backers and still not be at your stretch goals or something like
Yeah.
that. So
So
just to clarify what that means.
yeah. So for our website, it's like different increments of numbers depending on. So there's basic.
But subscribers, though, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Our objective is now subscribers instead of monetary.
Yes.
Right.
So we just want traffic and engagement, basically.
Yeah, like zoom,
So-
zoom.
It's just green lights. So
Yeah.
so after like 100 basic subscribers, we unlock another thing, and then after like 450, we unlock another thing. Then there's paid subscribers, which that's a whole other ball game, and that unlocks like bigger things like
Like money.
video game. It unlocks money for creators and for us, and we can actually do things that we've been wanting to do. So yeah,
Right. Yeah. And I think that's I think you guys are probably the first platform that's probably doing this, which is
yep,
interesting in itself. Because like you see, just to give an example, like a platform like Webtoons, they really encourage you to have like something like a Patreon. So it's not their device, it's not linked to them, but they're like, yeah, go and do this. Like that's, go and support these people. So they do encourage people through their platform, but it's not something that they're holding on their platform. And now what they've done on their platform, they've added monetization in the form of now you can read comics early. So that's their way of now monetizing the vast readership that they have. And it's a good idea, and it's not really like it's kind of, they keep it cheap because they know it's not necessarily like a huge value builder. Like I can just wait another week. Like I don't need to see this, but what it is like 50 cents to view, the issue early, which is like super affordable to most people, because it's not like this huge thing that you're gaining. But 50 cents for them, if they're taking 20% of that 50 cents, there you go. Like that, it's the numbers game for them. At that point, because if you have thousands, actually I think they have millions of viewers and subscribers and all that kind of stuff, and so if you take even 2 cents from millions of people, that's a lot of money coming in. So it's a numbers game for them, but it's not something that the platform in itself is just about viewing comics, and now they're monetizing in a certain way. It has nothing to do with any crowdfunding principles or helping crowdfund any of their creators.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
So, yeah.
see, look at that. That went from very vague to very specific, which is great.
Yeah.
And I definitely do like that idea. It's like first moving to your own platform, doing crowdfunding, and then moving into more of a subscription-based platform where, like, it's funny because like I don't like subscription for a lot of things, but when it comes to entertainment, that's one of the few things I actually don't mind, like Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not that expensive and I can get access to the things I love, like that's all I want. And so,
Right.
when it comes to software, on the other hand, I want to buy that stuff.
Yeah, no, Adobe. Everybody was like pissed off about Adobe, and I get it, but at the same time, I think long term it does make it more affordable because
Yeah. I think it's
you-
better for businesses, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we're actually, so for my brother's business, the Upstate Sound, basically, we want to be able to have like a creative center where people can come. Like we're already building a studio where we just built a new computer. The hard drive should be in, and everything. Actually, oh yeah, everything would be built by now. So it's all built, and people are also flooding it. It's been so busy. But anyways, yeah, the whole point is like the point of the studio is to have like a creative platform, and by having access to like the Adobe Cloud, that would be great. But like if you want to buy the entire Creative Suite CS6 from like scratch, it's like $2,600.
Right.
But instead, you could spend $80 a month or whatever it is to get everything. And
Right.
with that, like you could immediately sell access to just use the computer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you can make that money back in a single day. And so
And
it's like, yeah.
And when they start upgrading those programs, because it does, like updating the programs, it does happen pretty quickly. Like we have Creative Cloud for Maui. It's like there's an update probably every like 2 months,
Yeah,
and they do add features.
they even do major updates. So like I think
Yeah.
the most recent one's 2019. And
Yeah.
like, so I think it was like 2014 it came out. They made a new release in 2016, 2017, and then 2019. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
they-
they've actually been having. There's already a CC 2020, but it's more or less
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, even with the small updates, they still do update various things. So they'll change
Yeah.
little things
Yep.
around. Like even from our last update, like I was like, where's this button at? And then I had to go online and they're like, oh, they changed the system around. But it is easier this way. But it's just not something I was used to, and I didn't think like from version 2.3 to version 2.4 it was going to change like
3.1, yeah.
yeah, a whole different like the access of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of like the phone plans where you're paying for your phone and then you can just upgrade whenever you want, right? Like so you're paying month to month on your phone,
It's
but
like
you can
leasing
upgrade.
a car. I mean, like
Yeah,
very
exactly.
often at the end of the lease, you can just switch to another car and continue.
Exactly.
Amount.
And you haven't paid, again, that one time, purchase, that the value of it, you still gotten it over that year, but you didn't pay the $2,600, you paid, 600, something like
It's
that.
also
So
like renting a house. Like you don't have to maintain anything either. If there's ever an
Yeah.
issue, you can, uninstall,
Exactly.
reinstall, it's all there. They have backups to just the cloud, so it's like,
Though
there's
I
a
yeah,
would really
lot-
like a house.
But yeah, me too. But I really dig the idea of having like something like a Patreon like on individuals' websites, and I think that's probably it's one of those things that you probably have to hire somebody to do that, to make your website function that way, or you have
Actually,
to learn a new skill set.
Actually, I'm pretty certain that PayPal
Plug-in.
allows you to set up a like a recurring payment like that. You have
Sure.
to pay to have that feature, but it's still something that then you have access to. And no matter what you do, if you collect money, you're going to be paying a percentage to somebody unless you decide to create your own credit card company and get certified by
Right.
the FDIC. So like, you're going to pay a percentage, but PayPal will probably be the best route because whoever you go through is probably going to use PayPal. So they take a percentage, then PayPal takes a percentage. So if you just go right to the source and then just pay them, I think they also take a smaller percentage if you pay them. And then you can set up like monthly recurring payments with people and right on your platform, button away.
Yeah, no, that's actually probably one of the easier things. I mean, just like literally designing your
Oh, yeah,
website to feel like one of those
Yeah, then you have to
platforms to feel
but-
function.
Yeah, then you have to do some of like the API stuff with a company like PayPal and then make it your own. But like that's the thing is like that's what I mean by evolution though. Like I think it's gonna slowly move to like collecting money on your website through literally a PayPal button for crowdfunding, then eventually make it a monthly payment thing, then eventually customize it, make it your own, and now it looks like yours. But
Yeah.
it's still ultimately gonna have something like that in the background running it.
Yeah.
Word up.
Cool.
Breakfast time!
So
Breakfast time.
So it's the new
Future
year.
style.
Um,
It is.
and,
That's like saying space windows. It's like spaceships, space windows, space food, space
Oh.
people. It's like you mean humans? Yeah. But they're in
Space Dad.
space dad.
You can have a Space Dad now. You're
So-
welcome, world.
I call him Elon.
Exactly.
so I don't really believe in resolutions. Okay, see, that's like a song. Look at that.
We were writing a song before we
writing a
started this
song.
podcast.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're gonna
but
get
we
in the
didn't have
studio
any
right away.
solutions.
We're gonna release that. So instead of resolutions, I believe more in like goals and like goal setting. So comment below what your goal or goals are for this year, big
Yeah.
or small. Something that's a goal. What are
Yeah.
yours, Dylan and
Mine?
Hector?
For me, it's to become fluent in Japanese because I've been practicing long enough now. I've gotten quite good, but I know that if I got another year's worth of Japanese in, I bet I could start asking people around to crazy stuff that they don't know I'm talking about.
All right then.
Yeah.
That's a good goal.
Yeah, so that's one of them, but like I got a bunch of them, but like even something like that, I would say one thing that I've done this with a few people this year, getting them set up is thinking about personal goals and professional goals, and whether it's in your job or it's in like say a side hustle or side business you want to build, like that's what I've worked on. So like this past year, I've had the goal to learn Japanese, improve my drawing, which I've gotten great at both of those now, but I'm trying to get, amazing. I want to get expert level at this. And then for my professional, it's like create recurring revenue sources, create or build my income level and build a brand by being on like podcasts and, uploading on Instagram. And so I've been working on all of those. And even though I fell short on some and it's surpassed others, like just having the goal made it so I had something to strive for.
Yeah, 100%. You have to make the
goals.
When you when you start off a new year, it's definitely at least important in my mindset, because that's, for me, that's like my stock take is like entering into a new year. Like some people do it around their birthday or like, around like a 6-month mark. I typically do it around a new year, and I don't really think of resolution based things too. I'm more goal oriented. So my goal for my personal goal for 2021 is to, me and Greg were talking about having like a weight loss competition. So that's one of the things that I'm going to really be engaged with, and trying to, I don't want to say lose 10 pounds, but what I want to say is that I want to get down to my prime weight and then have like a sustained way to keep myself there. So change my whole diet plan, change all those kinds of things, my whole lifestyle that's around food, my interaction with foods, and things like that. So that's my personal goal. Professional goal is pretty similar to what you are talking about, Dylan. Is definitely improving my income level, diversifying the amount of income that I bring in. So like the different pockets of ways I can bring in some money, and then but also reduce reduce recycle my time, but reduce my stress level when it comes to working on the things that I have to work on. So again, not overextending myself in 2021, but making sure I'm
not going to be a thing
super productive. Yeah.
No.
So those are my goals for 2021.
Cool.
How about you, Greg?
He thought he was going to escape. Try to lose weight this time. I did lose weight last year, but I gained like a few pounds. Holiday stuff, probably, but
probably. I've already planned it.
I've guessed.
I want to get out issue 3 of Seer Chronicles. That's gonna come out. Our video game is number 1. Our video game and our platform is literally the focus of this year. We're going to get, because I'm looking to get things going so I don't have to do my full-time job anymore. If I have to go to part-time still, that's fine. If I can get money from this business and actually like start getting money from it, that would make me pretty fucking happy.
I forgot another one of my goals is to move to another state.
Oh yeah, yeah.
See, I'm gonna be moving. I'm gonna be moving this year.
In Nashville, Tennessee.
No, I'm gonna be close though, fairly close. I'll be in Dallas.
Texas.
Yeah, Dallas, Texas.
Was that 8 hours?
Yeah, it's not that far. I mean, it's
6 to 8, I think, from Nashville, not just Nashville.
Aren't you
it's like
right
it's like 7 hours. Yeah, it's like 7 hours from Illinois. We drove there the last time we went.
I'm probably closer to Hector than you are. No. Yes. No.
Who knows? Who knows? Geography.
You
had to be there.
But I was gonna say the thing I was sneaking in here.
The 12-week year.
Yeah, so basically one of the things that oh my God, what happened? Oh my God, 1 second. I'm looking at this thing. I was trying to figure out where how far away Dallas was, and then it like messed up.
Miles.
But oh yeah, so the 12-week year though, I finished reading this, and it's a great book about how to. Yeah, it's 9 hours. You're crazy. from Tennessee. Yeah, from Nashville. I just looked at it. It was 9 hours and 32 minutes.
And it's farther than Illinois. It only took me
Yeah.
7 hours to get there last time.
Well,
Or
that's because
whatever,
Illinois is
no.
more inland than Tennessee.
Yeah.
I always think Tennessee is closer to the center of the country, but it's not. It's like right under Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the whole point of this book is instead of having like 6 plans for the whole year, and then all of a sudden it's November and you're like, ah, crap, I didn't get to the thing that I wanted. Now you're rushing. Break those apart into a 12-week plan where you just tackle one of them. But every week is like your month, right? So you got, like, if it's a 12-week year, that means that technically you could have 4 years in a year, right?
Right.
And then have a week break between each, because that's 52 weeks in the year, and this would be 48 if you only do 12. So the whole point is that basically you spend a whole week planning, scheduling out what it is you want to accomplish, and then you execute for 12 weeks. Because he talks about how, it's not so much about whether or not your plan worked out as much as it is about whether or not you executed on your plan. A lot of people, like, they write out a plan and then they don't follow through with it. And then they're like, okay, maybe I need a different plan. It's like, no, you never followed through with the plan. That plan might be the perfect
Exactly.
plan, it just requires more work than you thought.
Right.
Right. And he says that whatever your plan is, if it's as long as it's, it is actually a good plan, if you even accomplish 85% of the execution that you're supposed to do, that's enough to actually reach your goal. And so you should create this big idea, but focus it to one thing. So, like, for example, if say I wanted to, create a bunch of apps or businesses, ironically, I actually kind of did this with my build revenue sources. I just didn't follow through with it. So ironically, this year I'm going to be focusing a lot more on doing it this route. I'm going to spend 12 weeks only focusing on building one revenue source. Because if I do nothing but execute on one thing for 12 straight weeks, like, it'd be crazy to think that I couldn't do it as long as I actually commit myself to it.
Right.
But if I'm like, oh, I want to have 3 by the end of the year, it'll be October when I'm like, oh shit, I only got 3 months left before the end of the year, right? Like, it's not, I don't know if I got time. So, that's the reason why you want to, break it down. And so I definitely recommend checking this book out. It's actually a great book. It's not that big. You can read it fairly quickly. And like I said, it's all about just getting rid of all the, oh, I'm going to do this by the end of the year, and go, nope, 12 weeks to make this one thing happen. Like, a big thing, like, I want to lose weight too. My 30th birthday is in March, and I want to see if I can get that 6-pack for my 30th birthday. So I'm going to be
Nice.
going hardcore for, that's going to be my hardcore personal goal. So, like, I'll learn Japanese on the side, but if it slips, I'm not going to care that much, because my first primary goal will be that. And for business, I'm going to focus on building one revenue source for 12 weeks. I'm going to go hardcore on that. So I haven't decided yet what that's going to be, but that's the whole point. I'm planning this week.
Yeah, which
And so-
one? Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, which one? What's the first one?
And so, but that's the whole point, though, is like making sure that you actually take the time to plan out what you want, and then shorten the goal, or shorten the date, I mean, not the goal, so that you have to rush to get it, because procrastination actually works, but not if the goal's so far away. So if you're like, oh, I got a week to do this, and then you do crunch time on Saturday because you didn't do anything all week long, very often you can finish that if it's a short enough goal, like, cramming for a test. But it doesn't work in the long run. And so instead, use that to your advantage, shorten your goal times, and then, full steam ahead, recover for a week, plan your next big goal, and then rush towards that. And if you do that, you might have 4 major wins in a year. You don't think you're going to be jacked for the next year, right? You're going to be getting more pumped all year long for the next year. So that's definitely something I would highly recommend all the viewers and the current attendees to test in.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Weight loss thing, definitely. We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have
Breakfast time.
mugs. Yep. We have mugs and
Now there's no glare.
beanies. Shirts. We have shirts.
We have a beanie. He's wearing a beanie.
Yep.
And hopefully by that time we'll have, or I'm sorry, we're going to be launching soon some new merch for Breakfast Talk,
Check
like
out
shirts.
the
and
new
things like that.
merch for
Yeah, check it
Breakfast.
out.
That's
Check
not
it
visible
out.
here because the orders haven't come in yet, but we
Exactly.
already,
They're in the mail.
they're already made.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
COVID.
The
It's
post-
COVID related.
Yeah. If the post office is still around. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
All
that's
right.
probably that's the biggest fallacy in this whole thing. Now they're not gonna
Yeah.
believe.
Okay.
Yep.
Stop recording.
That's where we fell off the train right there.
All right. Stop
Breakfast Talk.
recording.